अच्छा ठीक. Yes, yes. Uh, Dr. Rajesh Tiwari sir is also there. Good morning, sir. We have Dr. Kandari there. UG वाले स्क्रीन में.
Good morning, Khandari Sahab. Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, ma'am. Morning. Let me adjust my things.
I have requested Gaurav sir to let us know when there are about 100 students for us to start.
Right.
Because we
Khandari
can't
ji?
make.
Yeah, definitely. Because you have another session back to back.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Morning,
Are you ready?
Yes. Pandit also joined in, and within few minutes he will be connecting, sir.
Right.
Yes.
Adi.
Pandey sir, you join.
Morning, Rajesh.
Morning, sir. Morning. Are you ready, sir?
Ready.
Good morning,
Gaurav sir,
sir.
how many students are there?
So 100 plus हो गए. You can start. Pragya ma'am को आप बता.
Madam,
2 minutes. Clear.
shall we proceed now? I think.
Okay, sir. Very good morning, everybody. Respected Pro Vice Chancellor, sir, Assistant Pro Vice Chancellor, sir, Dean Academics, all deans, directors, head of departments and institutions, faculty and dear students. Welcome to the second day briefing of your orientation program. Our first briefing for the day is on academics and examinations, and would request all of you to listen very intently to it, as your academic progression will be defined by it. The briefing will be taken by Additional Director, Academic Affairs. Brigadier V.K. Pandey is a decorated Army veteran with dedicated 35 years of service with the armed forces, serving in varied terrains and counter-insurgency operations. He has been with Amity since 2009. First with Amity University, Rajasthan as registrar till 2012, and thereafter with Amity University, Lucknow campus. He holds the important and strategic post of the Additional Director, Academic Affairs. Under his expert guidance, the university examinations are held and controlled, and all academic affairs are smoothly conducted. I humbly invite Additional Director, Academic Affairs to conduct his briefing on academics and examination rules and regulations. Sir. Sir, over to you.
Brigadier Pandey sir, unmute yourself. You are still on mute. Pandey sir, you are on mute. Now it's okay.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Good morning, everybody. During the course of this presentation, I will acquaint you with the major issues of examination, its rules and regulations. To start with, all examination activities in the university are conducted as per regulations on conduct of examinations, scheme of evaluation and discipline among students in the examination. The regulation number is 01. The same is given in your student handbook. Please read the conduct of examination and scheme of evaluation in your student handbook in detail. I shall first take a few key terms that you need to know. You will come across a term called the CGPA. That means the cumulative grade point average of a student. This is the grade that you achieve at the end of each year. I'll repeat that again. At the end of each year, that is the end of first, second, third or fourth year, depending on the duration of your course, the CGPA appears on your grade sheet. Similarly, SGPA stands for semester grade point average. The SGPA is your grade of that particular semester and will appear after the declaration of result of each semester. Course credits. It shall mean an integer number indicating the weightage assigned to a course subject. Once you've joined, please see that each subject or each course will have different course credit. A project, a research work or any other academic component on the basis, this is on the basis of contact hours and self work per week on all learning activities. End term examination. This means an examination conducted by the Amity University, Uttar Pradesh at the end of year or semester as prescribed in the scheme. NTCC implies a non-teaching credit course. I shall cover it later during the presentation. GSSC means classes conducted as guided self-study to the students, and this is done to prepare them for the back papers. I shall again be covering this during the presentation. Grade points shall mean the grade points of a course. Internal assessment is a continuous internal assessment of a course during the semester or year. You'll come across a term called PAP. Now this is applicable at the end of the year, that is passing with or promotion with academic probation. Shall mean students not meeting the passing criteria and will be promoted under academic probation. I'll be covering PAP later during the presentation again. PAW, promotion on academic warning. This means students not meeting the passing or the promotion with academic probation, that is the PAP which I said earlier criteria, and will be promoted to the next year with academic warning. Repeat year, as the name implies, it means that to repeat the complete year due to poor academic performance in the previous year. Repeat semester, as is obvious by the term, is to repeat the semester due to poor performance. Academic break. This is a provision given, a break is given to improve your grade or due to unavoidable reasons. Year back shall mean student who are brought to lower batch due to poor academic performance. Having given out, there are a number of other key important terms. I have taken out the major one which concern you. Read the rest in your handbook. I shall first cover the program duration. An undergraduate program could be of 3 years, 4 years or 5 years, like BA, LLB, BCom, LLB, BBA, LLB is up to 5 years. So a 2-year program like B.Ed can be completed in N+1, where N denotes the number of years which are given to complete an academic program. So a 2-year program can be completed in N+1, that is in 3 years. Similarly, all programs of 3 years and above can be completed in N+2. For example, a B.Tech, which is a 4-year program, can be completed in 6 years. Similarly, a BBA LLB, a BA LLB or BCom LLB program, which is a 5-year program, can be completed in N+2, that is 3+2 or 5 years. In addition to this, the Honorable Vice Chancellor may accord permission for 1 more year in both cases. Here, a point of caution. Please remember that if you get this permission, once you apply, you have to pay a re-registration fees and 25% of academic fees before you are re-registered in the N+2+1 or N+1+1. This period is also referred to as the extended period. My sincere advice to all of you would be to attempt to complete your entire program in the prescribed N period. Do not get into +1 or +2 or +2+1 periods. Attendance. This is a major feature in Amity University. Every student shall be required to achieve 100% attendance. However, for contingencies such as illness, accidents, a tragedy in the family, etc., a relaxation of up to 25% can be granted. Please remember that there is no relaxation beyond this. You have to keep your attendance at least at 75%. I'm re-emphasizing a few points. You are expected to have 100% attendance. The reason also is because in Amity, we have marks associated with attendance, which I will come to a little later. I have already covered point B, that a relaxation of 25% may be allowed to cater for sickness or other valid reasons for which written permission of the HOI is mandatory. A student whose attendance is less than 75%, whatever be the reason for shortfall, will not be permitted to appear in the end semester examination. However, even beyond this, there is a provision wherein the Honorable Vice Chancellor may condone attendance up to 5% below 75. That means if you have attendance up to 70, the Honorable Vice Chancellor may permit you to sit in the examination with a special permission. But the maximum grade that you can achieve with this, or if you appear in these special circumstances, is a B+. You will not get a grading beyond B+. If a student is continuously absent for a period of 15 days without permission, a notice is sent to the student and to his parents or guardians. If a student remains absent for continuously 30 days without permission, his name will be struck off. Such a student has to apply for re-admission. Action in case of shortfall of attendance. A student whose attendance is below 75 will not be permitted to appear in the end semester examination, as I have said earlier, unless specially permitted by the Honorable Vice Chancellor. Up to 5% more, that is up to 70% attendance, will be awarded a DE grade. When you get your first grade sheet, and if you have been debarred, you will get this grade in your grade sheet. F grade student, that means those who have failed, are required to repeat the course unit in the next corresponding semester. I'll explain this. For example, if you do not qualify in a course or fail in a particular subject or course, as we call it here, an F grade will be given. So an odd semester course, you can appear for back paper in the next odd semester. That means if you have not qualified in the third semester in a particular course, you may appear for it in the fifth semester. Similarly, for a second year course or second semester course, you can appear in the fourth or the sixth semester. A student whose attendance is 75% or above but is unable to appear in papers due to valid unavoidable reasons and with proper permission of the HOI will be awarded I grade. I shall explain this. A student may be permitted to sit in the examination with requisite attendance, but on the day of examination, you may have a mishap. You fall sick, or you get injured, or there is some death in the family, etc., of a close relative. In that case, if you do not appear for the examination or are unable to appear for the examination, then please approach your head of institution with requisite documents, like a medical certificate if you are ill, or a death certificate in case there has been a death of a close relative. This will be sent to the AUP Noida, and you will be permitted to appear in I grade examinations, which are held at the end of the year. Meanwhile, till the examination is conducted, you will be awarded I grade in that particular course. In all cases of appearing I and F grade, which I have said earlier, the marks obtained by the students who have reappeared will be converted to the appropriate letter grade not exceeding B+. I'll make it clear here that you must pass in the first attempt or in the regular end semester examination first time. If you reappear in any examination due to I grade or in a back paper, or since you have failed, or in supplementary examinations that I will come later, in all such cases, you cannot achieve a grading of more than B+. So try and pass all your courses in the first attempt so that your grading is not restricted to a B+ grade. A student who is qualified in a course unit is not allowed to appear in that course. I will be coming to it later. The minimum pass is C+. So if you have already passed in one, you can now not appear again to improve that grade. So try and get the best possible grade in the first attempt. That student, he or she, may appear in special supplementary exam to improve SGPA or CGPA if the student doesn't meet the promotion and passing criteria. I will cover this again further in detail. I've been saying so, attendance has marks. So in Amity, we encourage you to have good attendance, because these 5 marks which are now showing you on the slide are based on your attendance. So the more classes you attend, the more marks you get. If you have an attendance of more than 95, that is 95.1, you get 5 marks. Between 90 to 90.95, it is 4, and so on. You go down from 75 to 80, you get 1 mark. So you, depending on what attendance you have got, you are given either 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 marks. Now these marks form part of your continuous evaluation. There will be no negative marking for attendance below 75. That means if you've been permitted to appear at 70%, you won't get a -1 or something. An important slide, please see the column of UG. Point 1 reads minimum marks in continuous evaluation nil. I shall be connecting it later to point number 4. What it implies is that you may get 0 marks in continuous evaluation, but minimum marks for end term evaluation is 30%. What I'll explain this to you here. Say a course is 70-30, that means end semester marks are 70 and continuous evaluation marks are 30. So to pass in an examination, you must get 30% of 70. I'll repeat that again. If a course has a distribution of 70-30, that means 70 marks for end semester examination and 30 marks for continuous evaluation, of which 5 will be attendance, which I have already covered, then in end semester you must get 30% marks. That is, in a 70-30 course, you must get minimum 21 to pass. Lowest grade for passing, I've already said, is C, and the minimum marks that you have to get is 35%. I will further try and explain it here. Please understand. Say in continuous evaluation, you got 25 marks. But to get minimum marks for C+, what you require in UG course is 35%. It does not mean that by getting 10 marks in the end semester examination, you will total 35. But if it is less than 21, since it is a 70-30 course, you will still not pass. It is imperative that you get 30% in end term evaluation and a total of 35% marks in a UG course. 5 and 6 are important slides for you, important points for you. SGPA must never go below 4.5, and a CGPA at the end of the year should be 5. Please understand that if you get a 4.5 SGPA in a particular semester, then to reach a 5 CGPA, you have to obviously get at least a 5.5 in the next semester. So my advice to you is that do not aim for 4.5. Aim for 5 throughout minimum, so that your SGPA is at least 5, CGPA will automatically be 5. There are a number of cases where a student is very happy that he or she has been promoted because meets the promotion criteria, but in the end he realizes that he has not met the CGPA and then starts appearing for improvement examination. So aim for 5. That is at least a B-. Don't aim for just C+. Partly I have already covered this earlier. The weightage of end semester to continuous evaluation varies. It could be 50-50, that means 50 end semester examination and 50 continuous evaluation, or 60-40, or even 70-30. Most of the courses are 70-30. Remember that whatever be the marks for continuous evaluation, 5 are always for attendance. So I will link these two. Continuous evaluation, you can only appear in all, because it is held in 2 or 3 parts. You can appear in all your continuous evaluation, and good continuous evaluation marks if you have good attendance. If you have good attendance, there are two things. Here, this is where attendance and continuous evaluation gets linked. Have a good attendance, get good marks for attendance, attend all your continuous evaluation examination and get the best possible marks in your continuous evaluation. A student is required to secure minimum 30% marks. I've already covered this, and you have to overall get 35% in UG. Last point which I have put in red is important. Please pay attention. A student can appear in continuous evaluation if he or she scores 5 or less than 5 marks in continuous evaluation. I repeat, if you get 5 or less than 5 marks in continuous evaluation, you can reappear to improve your grade or to pass. However, this can only be done after expiry of N period. What it means is, say you are doing a BTech course or a 4-year course, you can appear for improving your continuous evaluation only in the 5th year and beyond. That means 1 year will go waste, minimum 1 year will go waste. So don't reach this stage. With this slide, I will re-emphasize 2 points. Have good attendance, appear in all your continuous evaluation papers so that you don't reach this stage of getting 5 or less than 5 marks, and then to reappear in the continuous evaluation, you end up losing a year or more than that. Now a word on the grading system. Grade is the aggregate of students' academic performance in continuous evaluation in the end semester examination. Examination shall be reflected by letter grades on a 10-point scale. I'll show that in the next slide. In a class of up to 30 students, an absolute grading system is used. And in a class of more than 30 students, the relative grading system is used. The relative grading system is explained in detail in your handbook. Kindly go through it. I shall cover the absolute grading system here. Now these are the letter grades which will appear in your grade card. Outstanding is A+, and the grade point attached to it is 10. What is the importance of this grade point? I'll show you with an example later. Keep coming down. Excellent, A, 9 points. Very good, A-, 8 points. Good, B+, 7 points. Above average, B, 6 points. Average, B-, 5 points. And satisfactory, C+, 4 points. Repeat here again, aim at least for B-, that is average, so that you get 5 points at least in each course examination. Now below satisfactory, you have term called fail, which gives you 0 grade points. Incomplete, I grade, I have already covered. Debarred, I have already covered. Absent will appear in your grade sheet if, despite having the requisite attendance, you do not appear for the examination for some reason, and U is unsuccessful. Now this U grade appears on your grade sheet only after the end of your last semester. Then say I am again and again talking of BTech. So in BTech, this unsuccessful grade or U will appear only after 8th semester. Otherwise, it will be fail or promoted or PAP or PAW, which I have covered earlier. In a class of up to 30 students, these are the minimum cutoff for various grades and are given on the table here. In a UG course, see the last column. At 80 marks, you get A+. Keep going down. At 70, it is A, 65, A-, and so on, up to 35, which are the minimum passing marks. Anything below 35, it is fail. This is an important slide. Please pay attention. A grade sheet will have these columns. It will have a course code. It will have an associated credit units. I've already covered earlier what is the credit. Then the grade awarded, that is what you have earned, a C+ or a F or a A or a B, which I am giving in this example. I have already said what credits are earned by this each. So if you pass in a course of 5 credits, you get 5 credits. Then grade points I have already covered. What are the grade points associated? And finally, the points secured. Now, points secured is a function of grade point and associated credit units. Please see the first column, MAL 101. This is a particular course. It has 5 credits attached to it. That is, the associated credit units are 5. The student achieves C+. So since the student has passed, he has achieved the required credits. But the grade point that he earns is 4. So the total points secured are 5 multiplied by 4. This is equal to 20. These are the other courses listed for that particular semester. Similarly, 4 into 0, since the student has failed, is 0. 4 into 9 is 36. 3 into 6, 18. Then you, in the end, you total up the associated credit units. That comes to 24. You require 24 credits to pass in the course, but since the student has failed in 2 subjects, he has only earned the credits 16. So in these 2 subjects, he'll have to reappear either as a back paper or in supplementary, or if he has applied in I grade and it is approved. And the total points that you have secured is 94. So your CGPA is 94 divided by 24, that is 3.92, well below the required SGPA for a UG course. So again, I'll re-emphasize, attempt to get at least a B minus, that is 5. Then I come to CGPA. CGPA is nothing, it is a result of SGPAs of 2 semesters or 4 semesters or 6 semesters. We've already calculated for the first semester 94 and 24. Similarly, let's take for the second semester, it was 180 points divided by 31 associated credit units. So the total points are 274. The total associated credit units become 55. So your CGPA is 4.98, whereas you require at least 5 in a UG course. This is given in detail in your handbook. Whatever I am saying is given in your handbook. Please read through it. You have a problem, go to your program leader. He cannot clarify it. Go to your HOI. You still have a doubt, you are welcome to come to me. I shall explain it to you so that you are very clear right from the beginning as to how it works. Award of divisions. Please have a look. As opposed to other universities or other examinations, the point to note here is that there is no 3rd division. Please have a look at the slide again. Leave out the last column or the last line. In a UG course, if you get 5 and up to 6.5, you get a 2nd division. 6.5 but less than 8.5, that means up to 8.49, you get a 1st division. 8.5 and above is a 1st class with distinction. Like any good student, this is what you should be aiming for. Please note, I am repeating again that there is no 3rd division. Either there is a 2nd division or a 1st division or a 1st class with distinction. I have said it again and again during the course of the presentation so far that your minimum requirement for passing, or that means getting a degree, is 4.5 CGPA, SGPA and 5 CGPA. Do not get less than that. So again, I will repeat, aim for 5 so that SGPA is 5 throughout and automatically your CGPA will be 5. Now this is promotion criteria. For some reason, if you have not been able to achieve the passing criteria, you may still be promoted to the next semester. For that, in a UG program, the minimum SGPA you require is 3.5 and the minimum CGPA that you require is 4.5. However, with a few more restrictions, I'll come to them in the subsequent slides. First year to second year promotion. This is in case you have not achieved the passing criteria. I'll repeat again, in case you have not achieved the passing criteria. You may be promoted to the next year if you achieved a SGPA of 3.5 and a CGPA of 4.5. Or in the first year, since students are new, if you pass 60% of the course oblique credits, I'll try and explain this a little. Say there are 10 courses in the first semester. If you pass in 6 courses, C plus in 6 courses, you will get promoted to second year. Or say there are 100 credits in the first semester, then as long as you get 60 credits, you may still be promoted to the next semester. But this is applicable only for the first year students. Promotion from second to third year. You should have no back in the first year. What it implies is that you have been promoted from first to second year as per the last slide. So you obviously carried a few back papers. These back papers must be cleared before you should have no back paper in the first year, and passing criteria of the first year must be met. And promotion criteria of second year is again SGPA 3.5, 4.5. Third year to fourth year, similarly, there should be no back in first and second year, and passing criteria of first and second year. So you would have got your chances to appear for back paper in the end semester examinations during the second and the third year to clear if you had any back paper of the first year. In the second year, in the third semester, you would have got a chance to clear the back papers of first semester. And in the fourth semester, you would have got a chance to clear the back papers of second semester. Still, if you have come to the third year and have back papers, you would again get chances in the odd and even semester to clear your back papers. But you should have, in this case, you should have no back paper left and passing criteria of first and second year. There are certain terms which will keep coming up. First is academic probation. A student is promoted to next year by meeting promotion criteria and is not meeting passing criteria. I've already covered this earlier in the beginning. Will be promoted on academic promotion. You will be placed on academic probation. Actually, it's a kind of a warning to you that you are not up to the mark. You need to improve. You need to put in more effort. So if the result comes passed on academic, promoted on academic probation, should get you worried. If a student does not clear passing criteria at the end of academic probation, he will not be eligible for promotion to next year. Now comes academic break. This is an a break taken by a student to clear his back papers to qualify for a degree. Say you have back paper, you are doing a 4-year course. By the end of second year, unfortunately, you have accumulated a few back papers, 4 or 5 back papers. You may exercise the option of an academic break. That means take a break for 1 year and clear all your back papers and rejoin in the third semester. I'll repeat that again. Say you completed your second year, but still you have a few back papers. You may take an academic break of 1 year and clear all your back papers, both of odd and even semester, along with the odd and even semester examinations which are held in the subsequent year, and clear all your papers and join with the one lower course. The batch will be lower. So this is an option given to you of an academic break. Promotion with academic warning. This is a more serious type of stricture as compared to PAP. Students who fail to get promoted under academic probation may be promoted under the following conditions. If the student meets passing promotion SGPA but has back papers in the previous semester, I have already covered it. If you look back in the slide when I was discussing second to third and third to fourth semesters. Then you will be promoted. This is a more higher level of warning as compared to PAP. The moment you get a PAP or a PAW, a student must start getting a little worried and start putting more hard work so that he clears. Or he has scored passing criteria as GPA in all semesters except one in which he has promotion criteria. So at the end of these slides, I want to emphasize one or two things. Please try and pass all your courses in that particular semester. Do not carry back papers because either you will be on academic probation or on academic warning, and you may end up not getting promoted thereafter for the next year till you clear all your back papers. If, however, you do accumulate for some unavoidable reasons certain large number of back papers, take an academic warning, clear the papers, and join with the next lower batch. Repeat year, as the term itself implies, this is after even semester. The year starts in the month of June. So after even semester, you can take a repeat year, complete academic session. That means you go a batch down and do the course and continue with your program with one batch lower. If the student does not meet passing and promotion criteria, I spent enough time on this, and is debarred in most courses. If you are debarred in most courses, in any case, you will not get promoted. It is advisable that if you accumulate far too many papers, then either take a repeat year or take an academic break. The choice is yours. In academic break, I just want to clarify that you do not pay fees. I will repeat that again. In case of an academic break, the student does not pay fees. Guided self-study course. I had said this earlier. This is done for back papers. All students having back paper are required to register themselves for GSSC. You will hear this term very often. That is a guided self-study course along with the re-registration for the subsequent semester. The GSSC and back paper examination fee is required to be paid along with the semester fees. After that comes the important part. Institution will allocate a faculty for this course. Allocated faculty will ensure completion of prescribed number of sessions. Presently, this amount is 4 sessions, and mark attendance. So out of these 4 sessions, you must have minimum 75% attendance. That means GSSC, you must attend at least 3 out of 4, preferably 4. With satisfactory, and in the end, the GSSC allotted faculty will give a satisfactory or unsatisfactory remarks. If it's an unsatisfactory remark, you will again not be able to appear in the paper. So if you have a back paper, you have to go through a guided self-study course, have the required attendance, and only then you will be permitted to sit for that back paper. I have already said this, assignment evaluation of GSSC will not be considered for award of marks. There will be no change in marks in continuous internal assessment. No student will be permitted to appear for back papers in the end semester examination without registering for GSSC, meeting the attendance requirement and getting a satisfactory report. So there are 3 conditions. You have to firstly register for GSSC. You have to attend classes, meet the attendance requirement of minimum 75%, and get a satisfactory report from the allotted faculty. Last point, a student who has failed to secure minimum C+ grade in a course unit shall be eligible to reappear / repeat the examination of such course units on payment of prescribed GSSC and back paper examination fees with a view to secure minimum qualifying passing criteria. There's a term that you will come across, NTCC, non-teaching credit course. The university has well-established policy guidelines. These are given guidelines 32 for non-teaching credit courses. These could be term papers, seminars, field work, summer internship, major minor projects or dissertation, etc. NTCCs are part of the program structure and are compulsory. and have credit units assigned to them. So take them seriously. There are certain NTCC which are up to 8 credits. So do it very seriously. These are done under the supervision and guidance of a faculty guide or an external guide depending on the place of course being undertaken on weekly basis. WPR, this is the weekly project report. Now this is calculated on the number of credits. Each credit, as I given in the next point, you have to cover 30 hours per credit are required. So in that course, when you have a NTCC course in a particular semester, the HOI based on this number of credits and hours required will work out the start date and the end date of that NTCC. NTCC will run exactly as per that, and that will of course cover a few weeks. And every week you have to submit this WPR which is given in the previous point. Last point, I put it in red. All NTCC reports are checked for plagiarism, and the report should not return similarity index of more than 15% in any circumstance. What it implies is that the work has to be original. Do not cut paste, it will get caught. So do your original work in NTCC. Again, I'll repeat, there are certain NTCCs in some programs which are of very high value. The better you do in this, the better grade you will get. Improvement. This is important. Please pay attention. Students who have passed in all courses, that means you got minimum C+ grade, but are not meeting the promotion or passing criteria. Promotion criteria will be in a semester. Passing criteria will be the final CGPA. May be permitted to appear in supplementary examinations with a view to improve grade and score passing promotion criteria of respective semesters. So you can improve if there will be cases where if you keep getting C+, C+, C+ in all the courses, you will pass in all your courses. But at the end of the course, at the end of the program, you will realize that you are either not meeting the SGPA or not meeting the CGPA. If you don't meet the SGPA, you will obviously not meet the CGPA. So for that, you can appear for improvement. Next point, student who has achieved the required SGPA, CGPA and C+ in all courses will not be permitted to sit for improvement. I'll read this again. Student who has achieved required SGPA and CGPA and C+ in all courses will not be permitted to sit for improvement. Your final SGPA, CGPA will be a result of what gradings you have got. But if you have got say 5 and you got a second division, you got your required SGPA in all semesters, you got the required 5 CGPA in the end, you have no back papers, and so you get a second division because you got a CGPA of 5. Now you cannot sit for improvement to say, I want to now make it first division. Or a student, like I said earlier, 8.5 and above was first class with distinction. A student who has achieved, say, 8.48. Now he cannot appear for improvement to make it first class with distinction. Please remember, there are a lot of mistakes made on this accord. Improvement is not permitted if you have achieved the requirements. And when you appear for improvement, again, the maximum grade award is B. Improvement of score in subjects prior to lateral entry is not allowed. At the cost of repetition, I will again clarify. You can achieve up to A+ grade in a particular course only if you achieve that grade in the regular end semester examination when you appear for the first time. Any examination that you give later, second time, as a back paper, as an I grade paper, or during supplementary examination, or with a special permission, the grade will not cross B+. So if you want to achieve higher grades, pass in the first attempt. Supplementary examinations. Now this is again an examination where there is a little bit of confusion. I'll read it out and then explain. Supplementary examinations are conducted for the final and pre-final students as per regulations. normally within 30 days after declaration of results of the final semester. What does it mean? I will again take the BTech course. First and second year students are not eligible for appearing in supplementary examinations, since supplementary examinations are conducted only for final and pre-final year students. So third and fourth semester students only will be permitted to appear for supplementary. Do not apply for supplementary or attempt to apply for supplementary if you are not in the pre-final or final year. Students who have passed all courses minimum C+ grade but not meeting passing grades may be permitted. Now this is where a student, he was supposed to say complete the course in 2020, the course which has just now going to pass out. He can appear for supplementary examinations because he is in any case from final year which is already passed for these supplementary examinations. So please remember, disciplinary control of students in examinations. During the examination, the student shall be under disciplinary control of examination center superintendent. When end semester examinations are held, an examination center superintendent is nominated, who issues the necessary instructions for conduct. If a student disobeys instructions or misbehaves with any member of the supervisory staff, that is invigilators or floor in charges, etc., or university observer or representative, he may be expelled from the examination for that session. A note of warning, we are very strict in the end semester examination. Please adhere to the normal examination schedule, come prepared, do not resort to any unfair means, do not get into an altercation with anybody, only otherwise strict disciplinary actions are taken. The examination center superintendent shall immediately report the fact of such a case with full details of evidence to the controller of examination, who shall take it to the examination discipline committee, which is headed by the Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor of Lucknow campus at Lucknow. Thereafter, it is sent to Noida. The said committee will make recommendation for disciplinary action as it may deem fit to the Vice Chancellor. A short note on generation and printing of admit cards. First point, student will fill and submit the examination form on Amazon. Examination form appears on your Amazon once the last teaching date is over and once the attendance has been blocked. Below that, in red, I have written feedback on Amazon necessary. There are two feedbacks which are filled by the student. One is the post-commencement feedback, which is about a month after the course has commenced. And a pre-examination feedback, this is before the examinations commence. Please ensure that you fill in both the feedbacks. I will repeat it again. Please fill in your feedbacks, otherwise admit cards may not get generated at all. After you have submitted the examination form, the HOI recommends the examination forms. Thereafter, the controller of examination, who is sitting in AUP Noida, will approve any generates the admit cards and sends it back to the HOI. Admit cards are not generated here. Admit cards are generated at Noida. HOI will take, your head of institution is the HOI, he will take out a printout of admit card through his link on Amazon, and the admit cards are then distributed after signatures. Here I want to put a word of caution. When you appear for end semester examinations, please have the original admit card issued to you by HOI in hand. I will repeat again, please have the original admit card issued to you by the HOI with his signatures. Only then you will be permitted to appear. A scanned copy or a photocopy or a photograph on mobile you will not be allowed to sit for the examinations. However, if you end up losing your admit card, you can ask for a duplicate admit card. A duplicate admit card is made on the day of the examination just before the start. Please arrive at least an hour before the start and get it made on the foyer of AB1 or Academic Block 1, which you will be hearing again and again. But this is made on a payment of ₹1,000, which is fairly stiff. So don't lose your admit cards. Come with the original card. Thank you. I have finished. In case you have any questions, please ask. Dr. Pragyan, any questions?
Yes, sir. Anybody, if you have any questions, you may please ask, sir, at this moment. Sir is the right authority to answer all your queries regarding your examinations, though sir has very comprehensively and very in a lucid manner he has explained to you. Anybody who wants to ask a question? If not,
well, if there are no
we come
questions, I
Yes,
will
sir.
repeat again. Read your handbook, read it carefully. If you have a doubt, go to your program leaders, go to your head of institution. You still need a clarification, please come to me. But please do take an appointment because I would not be available all the time. I'll personally make an effort to explain everything to you and clarify any doubts that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for this very important briefing. We come to the end of this session. Students, you will now break for lunch and you will rejoin at 2 p.m. on your institutional teams. I request the institutional coordinators to guide their students likewise. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
We may now move out from this session. Thank you.